Evening, welcome. This is Ghana Tonight. We're live from Oniyusabata Desawe Kanda, also live on TV3 Ghana on Facebook and on DSTV channel 279. We're all across the world on 3news.com. I am Alfred Ocansey. Tonight, the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice Shraj delivers a damning finding against the former GRA Commissioner General and 3 companies recommending prosecution. We have the full details and reactions for you on this latest one. Stay with us. It's more trouble for the ex-GRA boss. But the special prosecutor, Kesie Jabing, has broken his silence on his office's operations, dismissing claims that he is to blame for the former finance minister, Kenneth Daniel Friata's exit from the country. Now, more details for you. The OSP is talking. Well, tonight, an accused turned prosecution witness in the Akunta mining case involving Chairman Wontumi spills it all in his witness statement. We've got the full details for you. Stay with us. We have this and more. As always, here on Ghana Tonight, you are an integral part of the conversation. Let's hear from you. The hashtag we're using is Ghana Tonight on Facebook and on X. Connect with us. Let's get talking. Let's settle for Ghana Briefs.
Lawyer for 3 companies indicted alongside the former Commissioner General of the Ghana Revenue Authority in a Shraj report on corruption, fraud and procurement breaches, Joseph Dindio Pemka, has said his clients have instructed him to challenge the adverse findings in court. He spoke earlier on 3FM's Hot Edition.
I have the instructions of my clients to proceed to court to challenge the report. That's a preliminary remark I want to make. And the grounds for it are such that when we file the matter, it will be the subject of discussion. The fundamental question Shraj hasn't addressed is whether that had the blessing of the PPA. And if the PPA approved it, what fault will the parties bear? Because once an entity hears of an opportunity or sees an opportunity, you go take advantage and apply and go through the processes.
Tensions flared in Parliament on Wednesday when members from both sides of the House traded jabs about which government has done better in the fight against illegal mining. While members from the majority say the past government failed to tackle the menace, the opposition has equated the arrest of an NDC lawmaker to the struggles of the current administration in ending the menace.
Your own member of parliament, no MP so far has been accused or arrested because of galamsey, but an NDC member of parliament led tax to go and attack security forces because of galamsey, and you have the knife. You have the audacity to accuse us. 5,000 excavators were moved, and the excavators were being moved in the night. Yes, why are you not arresting the supposed to be people?
President John Mahama has cut sord for the construction of the 200-kilometer Wenchi-Bole-Saulawa road network to open up the N12 into neighboring countries as part of the Big Push agenda. At a ceremony to break the grounds in Soula of the Savannah region, both the roads minister and President Mahama have indicated that the Big Push agenda is achieving its intended purpose.
They represent a short-cutting for the reconstruction of the Fufuso-Sola road. As you can see, the Sola-Fufuso road was completed when I was president. Unfortunately, due to lack of maintenance, many parts of the road have deteriorated. And so the same contractor who's working on the Winchiwa road has also been asked to work on the Fufuso to Sola road. We're here to open a new corridor of progress to reconnect regions, markets, and families, to renew the promise of inclusive development and to affirm that every part of Ghana deserves modern infrastructure, dignity, and opportunity.
The Ministry of Youth Development and Empowerment is warning of the dangers of drug abuse among the youth, which is leading to an increase in mental issues. The Sector Minister George Opariado says this could have a devastating impact on Ghana's future if not properly addressed.
Access to drugs is disturbingly easy. Young people obtain substances from peers, local pubs, street kiosks, and increasingly from on-campus dealers that operate discreetly. 44% say drugs improve sexual performance, but 32% do not. Urgent action is needed to address these perceptions.
Chief Executive Officer of the National Sports Authority, Yao Ampofo Ankra, has revealed that his outfit is engaging with the Sports Minister to better understand attendance patterns across different sporting events. He explained that data shows varying demographics for the Black Stars, Ghana Premier League, women's football, and other domestic events. According to him, this insight will help the NSA develop strategies to maintain and upgrade facilities while encouraging greater public participation.
Yes, we're still engaging with the Honourable Minister because we found there's a new pattern of fans where if it's the Black Stars, you have a different, demography when it's the Ghana Premier League, when it's women's football, when it's domestic non-football events. So we're trying to put all this together, which will give us a fairer idea of exactly what to do in order to maintain it, upgrade, and also encourage more people to attend. And then that would help in also maintaining our facility.
It's more news on 3news.com. Make some time and visit 3news.com. This is Ghana Tonight. We're live on 3FM 92.7. Also on TV3 Ghana on Facebook and on DSTV channel 279. We're all across the world on 3news.com. As always, probably brought to you by Flamingo Paint, Simply Superior, Sasso Insecticide Spray and Coil, Comtumtum Precom. Coming up next year on Ghana Tonight, Special Prosecutor Kesia Jabeng has been speaking, denying any role in the former Finance Minister, Kenneth Anaya-Ofori-Attah's exit from Ghana. Small details coming up shortly on this particular issue that has been brewing at least over the last 24 hours. Special Prosecutor Kesia Jabeng says his office lacked cooperation from key state security agencies after the 2024 elections, leaving the OSP without the support needed to prevent the former Finance Minister Kenneth Anaya-Ofori-Attah from leaving the country. Now, he has been speaking on the KSM show on the operations of the office and why he says it's unfair in his view for people to blame him or his office for allowing Kenneth Ofori-Attah to exit the jurisdiction after the 2024 elections. This is what he said. Take a look.
Always work together with Attorney General. Attorney General in turn should hold our hands. We are working for one republic, one Ghana. The main perpetrator from our standpoint, the main perpetrator had no intention of returning back to the country. Of course, he had left the country earlier in the year during the transition. Now we should place this in proper context because we've attracted some flag that why did we allow him to go? Mr. Misa, he left before 7 January. Between 1st, I know there's that date, but I'm not going to mention it. All I'm saying is between 1st and 6th January, he had left. Who was in power during those few days? And we don't control the airports. We don't control the exit. The OSP doesn't control the exit points. But we are taking flag day in and day out. Why did we allow him? Let me put it this way. His cousin was president. Let's face facts.
Yeah.
Before John Dramani Mahama was sworn in on 7 January. Nana Akufo-Addo was the president.
Yeah.
That was his cousin. He had kept him in the office for more than 7 years. I said when he left, the president was Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo.
Okay.
At the time he left, we were not getting the cooperation at the time from other security agencies.
You weren't getting any
No,
cooperation?
we're not.
You had asked for them?
Oh, we asked for all that, but we were not. It was as if there was a policy of block the OSP out. That was what we were facing, and that was the circumstances under which we were being expected to perform. I think I've complained about these things over national security. Nope. At the time, the situation is different now. National Signals Bureau, nope. At the time, the situation is different now. National Intelligence Bureau, 0. At the time, the situation is different now. I mean, the security setup was stacked up against the OSP, so we will not be able to perform our job. This was the situation in which we found ourselves. And I'm being asked how I let Ken Ofori-Atta through this.
For him to...
No, we didn't watch him leave. We were powerless. That is the truth. We were powerless. We saw him leave, but we couldn't prevent him from leaving at the airport because we couldn't. Now we can rely on Ghana Immigration Service to block someone. Now we can rely on national security.
Before then you couldn't.
To block someone. Then, and at the time he left, you call up immigration, no one will even bother to respond to you. You write to immigration, no one will even bother to respond to you. And I'm saying this unabashedly. That was the situation we found ourselves in. Once again, before we put him on the Interpol Red Notice, we know he left the States on 1 or 2 occasions. But we believe he's in the States. And we know the area in which he lives. The person lives in the United States. Kisia Jabin, Office of the Special Prosecutor, even the Ghana Army. We can't just go into the US, spring him up and bring him. That is what Ghanaians need to understand.
Yeah, and that is
we are going through a certain very tedious extradition process to bring him back. That's why I said. That's why I was joking about it. That if he lived in Agbogba, I would have. He'll be with us as we are speaking. But since he is in a foreign country, I cannot put a date on it. And even then, the central authority in respect of extradition matters in the US could decide one thing. The President of the United States can step on it and block it and say no. You get it? So far as he is in the United States of America, we cannot put a date on it that we are bringing him today, we are bringing him tomorrow.
So that's Kisia Jabin, the special prosecutor, in that interview with KSM on the KSM show, as Kwekunsi Tim Mesa. Now, you heard him touch on a number of things, including shutting off that criticism that, look, he looked on and then allowed Ken Ofori-Atta to leave the jurisdiction after the 2024 elections. Well, one of the known critics of the OSP on this particular point is Martin Pebu. Is a private legal practitioner joining us on Zoom right now. Counsel, good evening. Thank you for joining us here on Ghana Tonight. Clearly, the special prosecutor responding to, not just you, but others who hold the view that, look, he should be responsible for allowing, or to be held responsible for allowing Ken Ofori-Atta to leave the jurisdiction after the 2024 elections. He says that's unfair for you to criticize him because, one, between January 1 and January 6, when he left, his cousin, President Akufo-Addo, was the president, and he indirectly sought to make the point that Ken Ofori-Atta enjoyed some presidential support in getting out of the jurisdiction because immigration wasn't minding him. He felt alone, as is always said, that Ankonam thing. So why do you criticize him for it?
Yes, Mr. Ocansey, I heard that part, but let's verify this. I thought I saw another part of the statement where he's quoted to have said that they saw him leave, but they had no power to stop him. They knew They were asking for help. You call immigration, they will not help you. Do we agree these are all statements from him?
Yes, he did say that indeed they saw him leave, but they were powerless. I mean, the office was powerless because of the lack of interagency support that hindered efforts to block Ken Ofori-Atta from exiting the jurisdiction, despite the active efforts to place travel restrictions on him. Yes, he did say that.
Yes, and I'm just interested in one fact. As lawyers, the way we analyze, he said they saw him leave. There's a statement like that. They knew he was about to leave. They saw him leave. Look, that finishes this case for me. They saw him leave. I'm paraphrasing it. I wish maybe you can read the exact statement. It's the end of the matter. So you knew he was going to leave, and then you said you were calling immigration, nobody will pick up, etc. What happens to informing the citizens? The citizens have oversight over all of these state bodies, including OSP. This interview we are conducting, Mr. Ocansey, we are exercising our oversight. So there is citizens' oversight over all the public institutions. So in other words, citizens have a right to hold public institutions accountable. So why was he keeping it secret? That's why you see last week I said that there was some collusion. That is a collusion. You are aware Ofori-Atta is about to leave. You are making efforts and nobody is minding you, and you will not inform the citizenry. I told you, look, human beings, we are spirits. The reason I could see that he was a first-class student, first class. So I was like, but this guy is supposed to be very sharp, and these little things are beating him. It doesn't add up. So you see, on Saturday, I said there's suspicion of collusion. That is the collusion I'm talking about. He saw Ofori-Atta was about to leave. He was contacting institutions which are weak. Who doesn't know that all these institutions were weak? Who doesn't know that Akufo-Addo had, kind of weakened state institutions? So you go to the people in whom sovereignty resides. That's Article 1 of the Constitution. And then also you go to the preamble of the Constitution. Then you go to Article 125. Look, many other parts of the Constitution says that the sovereignty is...
Hello, Council. Unfortunately, we lost that connection to Lamat Bebo. We'll try to reconnect with him shortly because he was making a point, and on that point about his view that Kessie Jabeng should resign, because in his view, what he has said cannot suffice as explanation to why Ken Ofori-Atta left the jurisdiction. Council is back. Council, if you could move away from the light where you are into another location, that would help me, because we seem to be losing the clarity of your image. So if you could move away a bit for me, yes, that's perfect. Stay with me there. But you're on the view that Kessie Jabeng should resign. He has clearly articulated the challenges that he's faced with in that office, at least prior to this period. Reason why he couldn't stop Ken Ofori-Atta from leaving the jurisdiction. With all of that, you still hold the view that he must go?
Yes. Kessie Jabeng can't win my trust again. It's done. It's not possible. I can't. This is so elementary, very elementary. I don't know. I can't repeat it enough. That, you see, the rules of engagement are that we have civic oversight over public institutions. That's how come we have elections. Those days, they will say, wait till the next election and then decide. But we've gone past that. So now it's a daily affair, a daily civic oversight. That's how come we do radio programs and take on public institutions. This institution didn't do well. You remember the Rich Hospital thing? Name them. So Kessie Jabeng had no business sitting on the frustrations. This one specific. what it tells me is that he didn't do the right assessment. He actually hasn't been able to appreciate the enormity of the mistake he made in keeping quiet over such a matter. No, like I said, Martin Amidu's son, you see, when the Akufo-Addo interfered, Martin Amidu came out. Our only fault with Martin Amidu is with his resignation. He shouldn't have gone. But the right thing, when the pressure was too much, it was good that he came out. Now, Kissie Japin's own, it's not good at all. That's why, you see, on Saturday, I told you that I have a suspicion of collusion. That's exactly what he did. He was aware, but he said public institutions were not cooperating. And so he kept quiet. When he was required to bring it to the attention of the populace, the sovereignty is enough. Sovereignty doesn't reside in the president. So it's no answer to say that his brother, he said cousin. I choose to use the word brother. Oforiatta is Akufo-Addo's brother. In Twi, there is no word for cousin. Local, in a lot of local languages, we don't use cousin. Oforiatta is Akufo-Addo's brother. So you knew it and said because his brother is president. It's a beggar's belief. To be very honest with you, I can't believe that's a Kissie Jabin I've known all these years. That he's so timid, extremely timid, and he wants to be
I see, but he
special
says,
prosecutor.
he says, counsel, he says that for him, as a special prosecutor, one, he doesn't control the airways or the airspace, for that matter, and yet you're having to get him to take the flag for this. And if you're saying that he should have addressed a press conference, put out these challenges that he was facing to get Oforiatta stay in the jurisdiction, even after the elections, what could have changed if he had addressed the press conference, putting out the challenges? What would have been a different outcome?
Yes, then we'll then press on with the civic oversight. It's for us, the citizens, to now do whatever it is within our power as the sovereign. The citizens are sovereign, as stated in the preamble to the Constitution, as stated in Article 1 of the Constitution, as stated in Article 125, and so on and so forth. So then we would have used our powers to see what we'll do. So this non-disclosure, trust me, Mr. Ocansey, there's no way. If I met Kissie Jabin today and for the rest of my life, trust me. No, I can't trust him. I can't trust him again. And to be the same, if me, you know how I'm slow to come to such decisions. I've known Kissie for about 20 years, from undergrad days up to today. No, I was in the same hall with him, the Kwafo Hall. So many things I can't recount. So you see, I've supported him when I need to support him. But this misjudgment is so basic that now I've lost trust. You know, this is not the only one. Matter of fact, this is the icing on the cake. You know, when the ORA started, we got information and it showed that the way the office was running, it was a one-man show. There are other things we've heard, but for me, this is the last straw. This is the straw that broke the camel's back. So Kissie can't do this job. He can't. You can't come out and call out whoever was preventing you and then tell the people of Ghana, I have information, Oforiatta is about to flee. I'm asking for help, nobody is minding you. Just these two sentences, do you know what it does to the office? And he didn't appreciate it. He just wants longevity. Now here is a case we are having challenges bringing back Oforiatta. This has damaged the office beyond repair. Look, tonight, as soon as this story ends, I expect that latest tomorrow morning.
I see, but Council, let's bring in Adam Senano, also an anti-corruption crusader on this, because he's also been interfacing with this Office of Special Prosecutor in a number of ways, many times as well. So, Council, stay with me. Senano, good evening. Thank you for joining us on Ghana Tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Well, this is Lawyer Martin Kpebol's verdict because of the OSP's own statement that, look, well, I can't take the flak for Ken Oforiatta leaving this jurisdiction after the elections because I know when he left, between January 1 and January 6, In fact, we even knew when he was leaving. But then because we didn't have the cooperation of the other agencies, we couldn't get him. Martin Pebble says, look, if that was the case, why keep it for all this while, almost 10 months on, and you're telling us now when the horse has already bolted? So he thinks that, look, it's time for Kessie Jabeng to go. You've worked with the office. You've worked with the person. You align with that verdict? Unfortunately, we lost Adam Senano there. We'll try to get him back on Zoom to answer this question for me on it. But Martin Pebble is still with me. Counsel, it was as if, in his view, according to the special prosecutor, what we just played, he indicated that even though he was trying to get him not to leave their jurisdiction, other agencies, like he mentioned the National Intelligence Bureau, the National Security, National Signals Bureau, Immigration, were all just there watching him, not giving him the cooperation. That's why he could do little in not getting Kenofriata to leave the country. That does not suffice for you?
Yes, and so you come to the people who will the ultimate power. That if he was scared, that's why I said he cannot do this work. If he couldn't come out to say this, he couldn't come out to say this. And what else can he do in that office? Please, Mr. Ocansey. No. It's done. It's done. By the Constitution, he has betrayed the people of Ghana. He has breached the Constitution beyond repair. So with this breach of trust, he can't continue to hold that office. I think he should just go. I would say he's done his bit. This is a complete betrayal. He's not done his bit. You can't do this to the people of Ghana. No, it's not on. We are far stronger than this. What does it take to inform Ghanaians? That's what the Constitution requires. That's what they say sovereignty resides in the people of Ghana. So there are certain decisions they are brought out for the people to decide, and the people will decide through the various media, right? Yeah, so once he withheld that information from us, the trust is lost, irretrievably lost. It's over.
Adam Senano is joining us back again. Senano, can you hear us now?
Yes, I can.
I lost you briefly. I was asking that this is the verdict of Martin Pebble to the extent that the OSP was facing these challenges 10 months ago. He didn't come out up until 10 months on when the horse has already bolted and we're struggling to get Kenofriata back. Then he doesn't deserve to be in that office. You align with that verdict?
No, I don't. And I think my brother Martin knows I disagree with him on this issue. I think it is Martin who is clutching at straws. He's really clutching at straws this evening. I don't know what is happening. Listen, I've done citizens arrest twice. It's when you see somebody committing a crime or there's a specific charge that has been brought against the person. On what basis would the people of Ghana have attempted to stop Kenofriata between 1st and 6th January? I don't know what he's talking about. What charge was there? I mean, on what basis? Or is he talking about mob justice? I mean, let's get real. This one is clutching at straws. There's no way any of us could have done that. And he knows it. Let's stop playing games with this issue. Alfred, isn't there something else you want us to talk about?
But then again, are you saying? Yes, I summarize his point quite clearly. But you were listening when he was on the point that if indeed these were the challenges that the OSP faced or was facing in preventing Kenofriata from leaving their jurisdiction, in his view, let the people know, because sovereignty lies in us, the people of the Republic of Ghana.
I'm asking you, what are you expecting the people to have done? When you are going to deploy a strategy, you need to be clear in your mind what the people are going to do. I know he's referring to Article 1.1, Article 35.1. It still would not have produced the result Martin seems to be suggesting. So I don't see that as, I see it as a non-starter in the first place. What specific action is he talking about? So, and I'm saying,
Well,
Alfred,
he argues on the path of transparency and some level of trust that, you know, if this is the challenge you're facing, especially with a very topical issue that is of public interest that everybody is talking about, and we've all been asking questions as to why Kenneth Ofori-Atta, you know, that cannot be tried in absentia or be brought back.
Questions. Stop, I mean, get the chronology right. In January, were we asking questions? We're not asking questions in January. It wasn't until after they triggered this thing in February, and then Mr. Frates people responded by March that they will not be available, there was surgery. So let's get the chronology right. What you're saying could not have happened.
But this particular story was in December 2023. I mean, a number of these events for which he's been brought, in fact, the questions that he's been asked to answer by the special prosecutor. It's not just one. The SML, there's issues of the National Cathedral. There were issues that were happening, trending, and we were asking questions.
I'm not getting what you are saying. Listen.
So what do you mean by the chronology of events?
The chronology of events is still the same. Listen, if you have raised issues against somebody, the person's in the jurisdiction, you are anticipating, expecting that you write to the person will respond and be available. You write, I think they wrote, was it in January or was it February? That's still, the process was ongoing. So I'm saying that this issue of all of a sudden, Ken is not available, Ken is not coming, and we are all talking. She's nowhere in January or February of 2025 or whatever. So I don't know what you're talking about.
No, as you talk about the specific chronology of events, reason why you disagree with Martin Kpebu's verdict. And that's why I asked you what exactly you meant by the specific chronology of events, because the reference he makes is to the OSP's own words that, you know what, I'm being blamed for allowing Kenneth Ofori-Atta to leave the jurisdiction after the elections. And these were the challenges I faced, that his cousin was president. Other institutions that were supposed to help me were not helping. I was asking for help, I wasn't getting. And that's how he got out of the jurisdiction. And Martin Kpebu's point is, to the extent that these were happening and you kept it 10 months on and you're now telling us, what's the effect of this information now?
Listen, I don't understand the logic of your question. Listen,
you don't get the logic.
OSP,
what are we supposed to do with the information now? What he's telling us?
Well, it doesn't matter that he's saying this now. I mean, an unexamined life or any institution that does not review itself over time is one that does not learn from situations. And it doesn't matter that this stage, I think it's a useful thing to say that, listen, at certain points you expect other institutions to act. When they fail to act, then all of us suffer. I think it's a good point to make. It doesn't matter that it's coming at this stage. So I'm not quite sure what you are driving at. I'm saying that between December and January, if the assumption is that telling the people that, look, there are these issues and the man says he's leaving. When the man said that he was leaving for health grounds, you remember?
No. Unfortunately, Adam Senano's connection is a bit cranky. We'll try to get some of it rectified. He's going to be joining us again. Senano, I lost you briefly, but then again, that break leads us to the next issue that we're going to talk about, because today we got to know that Shraj has dropped what will be described as a bombshell. The ex-GRA boss is having his problems increasing by the day. There are 3 other firms that are facing possible prosecution. That's coming up next. We've got the details for you. And Reverend Amish Shaddai is having some questions to answer from the Commission for Human Rights and Administrative Justice, Shraj. They are the ones who are asking questions right now. They are the key issues. They found that the GRA used single source mode of procurement. Also, we'll give you details of these and more. Stay with us here on Ghana Tonight. Dennis Babari-Wadam is going to be joining me right now to have a conversation on this particular development. And there's been some recommendations that the former commissioner that's a commissioner general for the Ghana Revenue Authority, Reverend Amishadai Owusu-Amwa, be banned from holding public office for the next 5 years. Now, the findings referred the former GRA boss to the Attorney General for possible prosecution. Now, we've got full details of what Shraj found and what they are recommending. Dennis Babari-Wadam Esquire is joining me. Dennis, it's always good to have you join me here. But what more do we know about this latest from Shraj?
Well, so Alfred, this complaint before Shraj had to do with some observations that a civil society group had made in respect of some procurement processes that GRA had done in respect of some vehicles. GRA had contracted 3 companies to procure some vehicles for them. It was the observation of this civil society group that these 3 companies that were contracted, they could not find the registered addresses of some of those companies. That is to say, if an address was provided in the correspondence between GRA and that company as being the registered office address of that company, if you trace that address, it will lead you to a place where you will not find that office.
Right.
So, for instance, if you provided an office address like TV3 here at Disawe Kanda, then you come here, you don't find this office space.
Yeah.
That's a typical example. So that was one of the issues for which they were suspicious that there could be something more to it than just the contract. They also made the observation that, looking at the amount of money involved in the purchase of the vehicles, they were of the view that the prices may have been inflated. So that was another concern they had. Also, even with the capacity of the companies to deliver on the contract, there were also issues in question, because they also found out that the companies indeed could not deliver as was agreed, because within the time frame that they were given to deliver the vehicles, they couldn't do so. There was an extension. They still could not deliver within that extension. So that in itself raised some questions. There was also issues of tax evasion and all that. So they put the matters before Shraj, asking Shraj to look at it. It's also instructive for us to put on record that Shraj itself had indicated that along the line when they took assumed jurisdiction over the matter, they got into the process of investigating. Then the lead convener for this particular civil society group organization served them a notice of withdrawal. That is to say, they wanted to withdraw the complaints. Now, per the rules of law, as applies to the office of Shraj, they cannot on their own investigate a matter unless somebody petitions or complaints. That could either be orally or written. Now, it raises the question as to whether the withdrawal of that complaint brings the matter to an end. So Shraj had to take a decision as to whether to proceed or not. In the view of Shraj, they had already gone to an advanced stage in dealing with the matter. And then again, it was their view that this was not just a matter that the complainants alone had an interest. It was a matter of public interest, for which they took the view that they needed to proceed with it. So they did all the necessary interviews with all those who matter, and they got all the necessary documents in aiding that investigation. Now, they had to answer questions as to the other issue, which I didn't mention, is the fact that they also raised issues as to the kind of procurement that was used. Because the complainant said it was a restrictive tendering process. But as Shraj would find out, it was actually a single source, or what we commonly call the sole sourcing, which Shraj had identified. That's what you see as one of the key findings that Shraj made in that the commission found the GRA used a single source mode for the procurement. Now, the question of whether the companies indeed had capacity or not, Shraj made the findings that, yes, the companies did not possess the requisite competence to carry out a contract of such magnitude, and that the companies were unqualified to be engaged for public procurement because they had no evidence to show fulfillment of tax and social security obligations. as this also show, the companies indeed could not deliver as was expected under the contract, because even with the extensions, they could not still deliver the required number of vehicles. Per Sraj's estimation, that the vehicles that were procured from one of the companies named at Renault Motors were actually inflated, as was the observation by these complainants or the civil society group. And that resulted in a financial loss to the state in the sum of $826,551 United States dollars. Now, there were also the issues that have to do with allegations of fraud. Sraj, in its findings, says that yes, there was a blatant disregard for procurement rules, fraudulent misrepresentations, and lack of due diligence, which led the commission to conclude that the respondent in this matter is the former GRA Commissioner General that engaged in fraud and corruption. Now, the issues that had to do with the tax component, that the three companies had not paid tax in full in full as required by the tax, and this was as of the date of the complaint. There were other findings, which now had to do with the locations of the company, and that's where it gets, yes, very interesting. That, for instance, field investigations to verify allegations that neither Telino Ghana Limited or Rajel Motor and Trading Company Limited had business offices. Now, this is it. Telino was supposed to be operating, as was provided in their address, at SCC Yard at Abelemkpe. That was their listed business address. When they went there, they were not existing. They rather found other companies which were operating there. Those companies told them they were unaware of the existence of this company.
I see.
However, the CEO explained that they had relocated to Bema camp. When they later called the CEO to visit in the Bema camp, he said he was unavailable for that visit. For Renault Motors, Google Map tracking on the listed address led to investigators to an uncompleted building. The CEO said the uncompleted building will serve as their showroom. He also told the investigators he was unavailable to lead them to the corporate office, which he says was at Abelemkpe.
I see.
The CEO's lawyers repeated the same information. For this particular company, they were supposed to be located, they could not even be located at all. The MD said the office that they had rented, the rent had expired, and they were looking for a new space. In fact, he did indicate that rent in Accra was so expensive they couldn't afford the rent in Jowolu. So they were looking for a place. So that's they couldn't find. The conclusion is that the companies did not have the registered address contrary to the law. So these are some of the findings that Sraj made, on which they made those particular recommendations, including recommendation for prosecution in respect of the former GRA boss and then those other companies.
He was also having to face questions from the OSP as well. So Reverend Amishadai is not having it easy, is it?
Not at all.
Adam Senano is still with us. A very complex and convoluted web of this suspicion of corruption. Now, this matter of procurement corruption we've seen over time, and hearing this after Sraj's investigation, how does this strike you? How are the coming days going to look like for you?
Well, I took note of two things. One, that part of the report said that the commissioner could not escape liability or culpability, which seemed to suggest that even though he himself may not have been directly involved in these matters, he has overall responsibility, which is correct. Now, it makes me want to think through the systems and who else was directly involved, especially when it came to the due diligence issues, and what systems or mechanisms we should be reviewing. Because you have procurement, you have legal, that ought to be doing due diligence, that ought to be following the laws as we know them, and the systems are supposed to be such that at the end of the day, they give value to the Ghanaian. So on one hand, I mean, and by the way, I think Reverend Dr. Amishadai has retired, if I'm right, because at the point at which I thought there was this debate at Parliament whether he wasn't already exceeded the age or something like that. So I'm not even quite sure the value of saying that a recommendation that he should not have public service for the next 5 years, how it translates. Critically, obviously, he still has the right to challenge these issues. So I think that, in my view, we need some more information on what happened at the operational level for these things to go wrong, who was involved, and what could have been done differently. Those are my initial thoughts.
I thank you very much for this, and we'll see how the coming days will look like. Adam Sano is the co-chair of the Citizens Movement Against Corruption. We're back after this quick break. We'll tell you what the fourth accused in this Woon-To-Me case, who has now become a prosecution witness, has already started spilling out some very interesting facts of tea. Stay with us. We'll be back shortly. general manager testifying. Quite a number of things that he said in there. And if you do recall, and let's bring in private legal practitioner Justice Abdullahi joining us right now. And Justice Abdullahi, you do recall that the Chairman Tumi's lawyers have already raised questions of ethics about the Attorney General having this fourth accused now serve as prosecution witness, the general manager of Akonta Mining. I mean, has the Attorney General done anything ethically wrong in the ensuing matter?
Well, indeed, I mean, to answer a straight question, the answer is absolutely no in this circumstance. But naturally, if I was in the shoes of the accused persons, I'll feel the same level of jittery, considering that the managing director, who has now turned a prosecution witness, is an integral part of this whole prosecution. Indeed, he's in charge of the company. And so he knows the ins and outs of every single thing. And so if such a person turns a prosecution witness, chances are that conviction is almost guaranteed. And so it is normal for me to feel jittery if I was in the shoes of the defense team and all of that. Second, the practice of turning suspects or accused persons into prosecution witnesses is part of criminal jurisprudence of the Commonwealth system. And so every country that practices the Commonwealth system of adjudication what's it called, legal system, has this as part of their criminal judicial processes. And so it is very easy to turn at any stage of the case a witness, an accused person into a prosecution witness. And usually we do that when you know that you have a bigger fish to fry, and so you focus on the bigger fishes. And then the small ones, the fingerlings, you use them as witnesses against the bigger fishes. That is how crime is fought in every part of the world. If you focus so much on the fingerlings, you are likely to be distracted and not nip crime to the bud, because really your focus is not this managing director. He's purely an agent of the company. That's not your focus. And in this particular instance, your focus is on the big boys behind the company, those who call the shots, those who make things happen. Those are your focus. And in this particular case, Chamaun to me is the focus of the state. And so anyone at all that you can turn, you are allowed under criminal jurisprudence to turn the person against those bigger fishes. And so it is part of our legal practice, whether in Ghana, in the US, UK, Canada, and every other Commonwealth country, that when you are prosecuting any person or when you are engaged in criminal prosecution and there are multiple suspects, that you find one more convenient. If the person, of course, is always about transparency and consent, informed consent. Transparency and informed consent is the watchword here. And so long as the person you are turning agrees, knowing full well of the entire circumstances, the risk involved, and the blessings that it comes along with, and you did not hide anything, and you made it transparent. Transparent here meaning that the court becomes aware of it, the accused persons become aware of it in this instance. You're good to go. The danger is where these things are done under the cover of darkness. I think if you would remember, somewhere last year, we had the Jaquez case was almost close to that level of turning Jaquez into a prosecution witness, but the way it was handled was the basis for questioning the whole prosecution, and which led to where we are today. But if you really want to do this, you do it such that transparency and openness as well as informed consent is the target of the whole thing. Sometimes it could even come along with a witness protection. If you know that the person's life will be in danger, you'd have to afford him some level of protection. And in this particular case, considering the anxiety in the system and how the managing director is reacting based on this decision and the calls that he claims are coming, I would recommend strongly that the Attorney General be looking at some level of witness protections for him, because we can never tell. Right? You do not need to wait until things go south before you say Jack. I would strongly recommend that we look at some level of protection for him to avoid putting his life in danger.
All right. Thank you very much, Justice Abdullahi, private legal practitioner. Thank you for joining us here on Ghana Tonight. On behalf of the rest of the team, we do appreciate your company. Join us same time tomorrow for another conversation. Join the New Day team, 6 a.m. tomorrow, Sunrise 3 FM 92.7 as well. I am Alfred Ocansey. Have a good night.
Ghana Tonight is brought to you by
Flamingo Paint.
Superior coverage, simply superior.
Sasso insecticide spray and coil.